people ask me why I lost interest in Pokemon, but I never really tell them the real reason. I give them the usual "I grew up" answer, but that's not true at all. I feel like the best way to accept what I saw on that day is to tell somebody about it. That's exactly what I'm doing. This is a story of the cartridge that destroyed my devoted adoration for Pokemon. This is the story of Pokemon Rotted Yellow. I was working at one of the game stores in town for about a year and a half without any sort of incident. The worst thing that could happen was that someone would try to trade out in a scratch game. One day I was working alone at the store when there was a young boy, maybe a 10 at most. I noticed that he was holding a cartridge of the Game Boy Color game. I was immediately surprised, as not many kids at that age even knew what a Game Boy Color was, much less own one. I asked him if he needed any help, and he told me that he needed someone to fix his game for him because it was broken. I asked him if he had brought it from our game from our location, and he said he didn't know. His father had gotten it for him. Normally I would have said no, but then I noticed the cartridge was for a Pokemon Yellow game, and I just thought it didn't feel right to have this desperate kid of a Pokemon adventure. I asked him what was wrong with the game, and he told me that it kept freezing in this game at a certain spot every time he tried to play, that his Pokemon kept dying. I thought the boy had a weak time, but I went along with it, and I told him that I would try my best to fix it. Though I couldn't promise anything, though. The boy that gave me his name and phone number and then went on his way. Not thinking much to it at the time, I put the game onto the top drawer beneath the cash register. I was closing up shop for the night. I threw the game onto my purse and then headed home, finding myself eager to play the game after all these years. Hopefully, it was when I thought, when he just had a weak team, I could just fix that pretty quickly, and that would be the kids right here. I got home and I found my old Game Boy from what I've had as a kid. I grabbed some new batteries and even clicked them onto the back of the console, and then dug them through my bag to find the game. I was about to put the game in something when something caught my eye. Instead of the normal looking Pikachu that was supposed to be on the sticker, it had one of its eyes scratched off entirely. Probably just a coincidence, I thought to myself, but slight that just made me a bit uneasy. I turned on the game. The game turned on was all normal. The freak symbol was shown, the opening sequence played as normal, but once the title card appeared, there was only silence. I thought I didn't think of much of it at the time. I selected the saved file for the game, but the file didn't open. Instead, the message popped up saying that the save was corrupted. And that was just strange because the boy told me that the file was okay. It was just frozen at one part of the game. I tried a few more times, but to no avail. I was getting frustrated, so I decided to start a new file. The new file worked and the game played how it was supposed to be without any glitches. I was in Cerulean City when I was teleported to Lavender Town. Then out of nowhere, the action reminded me of an infamous new Mew glitch. I then thought of it, maybe it could be the kid had tried to catch the glitch but messed up, causing the game to freeze. I walked out to the outskirts of Lavender Town, and to my surprise, the glitch was active, and a wild Mew appeared. Instead of the regular battle theme, the Lavender Town music continued to play. Maybe there was just something wrong with the cartridge? After all, I was also noticed that one of my battle options were the only choice I had was to run. That made me mad, but because they didn't want a Mew, that was because the only option, so I didn't want to start over from the last save. I was forced to do it. After that, the game continued normally. I went to Celadon City and obtained the Silph Scope, but when it came to the cemetery mission, the game then went haywire again. Instead of having to travel around for the individual floor, I was teleported to the final room, where I assumed that it was supposed to claim the soul of Marowak. The wild Marowak appeared, but there was no music. After I sent out my Pokemon, Pikachu and the Marowak transformed into Mew. I battled it to try to get its HP down, but even though my Pikachu was at a much higher level than Mew, it barely did any damage. Somehow Mew never actually attacked. I eventually managed to get its HP low enough, and I tried throwing a Pokeball at it. Maybe if I caught it, the game would go back to normal. When I threw the ball, the Mew turned into one of those identifiable ghosts that you could see without the stethoscope, or slipscope, or whatever they were calling it. Out of nowhere, the text read, "Ash witted out." This was really confusing. My Pikachu was nowhere close to fainting, and I still had my other Pokemon. Instead of restarting at the Pokemon Center, I went back to the final floor of the cemetery. I noticed that Pikachu wasn't following behind me. I walked over to the battle where I would surely begin again when I suddenly led to a tombstone where the battle had taken place. I hit the A button to see if there was any text on it, and the sound of Pikachu's fainting cry played. My Pikachu had died. Right after the cry had played, the Marowak appeared again, and it sent out my Pidgeot, and Marowak once again transformed into Mew. This time Pidgeot attacked it on its own without my command, and Mew was left for 1 HP. And then I used Destiny Bond, and that's when my Pidgeot attacked without my command again. Mew evaded the attack, and Mew had only using Curse, leaving it with 0 HP, and Destiny Bond has taken down Pidgeot along with Mew. I still should have won because I had 4 more Pokemon in my party. Instead, I waited out again. I wanted to stop, but I couldn't. I knew it was just a sick joke I desperately needed to know the ending of. Once again, I restarted at my final floor of the cemetery, where I was led with a new tombstone, where my Pidgeot was, to fight off it again, and sure enough, the same thing happened again every member of my party, until I was left with no more Pokemon. So I expectedly wiped out after my last Pokemon had fainted, or in this case died, but the character that forced to battle into a fight Mew himself. This was getting ridiculous, but yet again, something was stopping me from turning off the game. Of course, there was no way for me to attack Mew, and I didn't think what Mew would have done if any powers over me. However, Mew was somehow able to use a curse and Destiny Bond on me, and how was a Pokemon able to use a power on a person? I waited out immediately. When I reappeared, I wasn't at the cemetery, I was in my bedroom in Pallet Town. I immediately noticed that my character didn't look normal. Either I was transparent, no music was playing, either I walked up a few steps on my menu screen appeared and my trainer card appeared. I had no badges, no money, and no Pokemon in my Pokedex. I closed it and the menu popped up again, showing me that I had 1 Pokemon in my party. However, there was no sprite, the design of or the name of the Pokemon next to the HP bar. I checked the mystery Pokemon's moveset, and I noticed it only had 1 move, Teleport. I tried leaving my room, but I wasn't able to. I tried to interact with the map, but it was my computer, but none of those things worked either. Not sure of what else to do, I used my Pokemon's teleport move, unsure of where it would take me. I appeared right at the cemetery. I was left to a 7th tombstone, showing my character's name on it. I wanted to be sick. Whoever gave this cartridge to that boy was a twisted person. I could imagine a young kid playing this game. I didn't know where to go or what to do. So I walked out there where I fight with Mew. Normally, it would have happened. The battle sequence started, but it wasn't with Mew. It was with a trainer with my side, and the battle screen then showed the sprite of Marowak. I froze, realizing what was about to happen, and as the trainer set out his Pokemon, Marowak transformed into Mew, and I looked at my moves list, especially with only teleporting being there. Instead, I had 2 moves, Curse and Destiny Bond. I turned off the console, not knowing what else to do. I convinced myself to turn it back on a few hours to see if the file was still there, but it was corrupted. The boy never came back for this game. I think he just wanted to get rid of it. I can't say I don't blame him. And that, my little pretties, was Pokemon Rotted Yellow, a Pokemon Lost episode, or Lost game creepypasta, written by Chelsealemire. My final thoughts on the story? Well, to be completely honest, this is actually one of the first creepypastas, Pokemon creepypastas, I have listened to on Creeps McPasta's channel. And that was back sometime in 2015 or 2016. I can't remember. But that was actually one of the stories that I remember listening to when that story came out. I know this original narration of it by Creeps McPasta came out in 2013. But surprisingly enough, I actually was pretty amazed of how good this pasta is. Now, I know some of you fans are probably thinking, oh, this story sucks because of this or because of that. Well, here's the thing. Despite the fact that there were cliches in there, like the Lavender Town theme and even know what's going on, I know it was a bit cliched about the person, turning off the game file without even doing anything else. I understand that's kind of cliched, but at the same time, I could definitely say this is an old creepypasta, so this was back before cliches became, really overused in that. So this was back in the time before gaming cliches were overused at times. But I do have to say a few things about this pasta. I like this pasta because it was actually pretty interesting, despite the fact that there were a few cliches in there. One of them being, the cartridge game, and this person gets scared of it and doesn't even want to, you know, want to continue. He or she just turned it off right away. I'm sure this is like a female protagonist, despite the fact that how this is going. But I could definitely say, for those of you who were a fan of Pokemon, probably have remembered Pasta narrating this on his channel, which I do remember some other people have done this besides Pasta. I have seen some other people narrate this story. I know one of my fans, named by the God of Creepy, he narrated this, and he said this is actually one of the first creepypastas that he's read on his channel. And this is actually one of the stories. I definitely have to say that the story actually worked out really well. Even though the concept was just absolutely amazing. It was freaky, don't get me wrong, but it actually worked pretty well done. Despite the fact that there were a few cliches in there, it's still a pretty amazing, well done story. So that's definitely a good positive that I have to say. So, are there anything else to this story? Well, I could definitely say what I do appreciate was the good grammar, which the grammar was pretty good. Don't get me wrong, along with the sentence structuring, the storyline, and basically how the flow went out. The flow of the story just absolutely went out amazing. Especially with the fact that, there was a lot of concept to this. So it is a lot more original than most Pokepastas nowadays, but this story was actually one of the best ones ever. So, but here's a few questions. One question being, why didn't the boy, why didn't the boy not come back for the game? I guess maybe he just didn't want to come back because it's possessed or something, which, that's possible, but I really don't know what to say. Like, why couldn't the protagonist just call the boy and tell him why he didn't come back for the game? At least that way it would be more explainable and understandable for it, so that can be actually one thing about that. So, I'm thinking, that could be the possibilities, but other than that, the story is just pretty good. Even though it's an old story, don't get me wrong, it's an old story, but it actually worked pretty well. So, it actually worked out really amazing. So, there were a few problems in the story that I kind of do want to protect. First being the Lavender Town music, which is a horrible cliche, concepts, because other pastas have used this. Yet again, I can understand, that it's just a story, but, and I understand that, Lavender Town's unsettling. That's definitely say I can definitely completely honest. But other than that, the story just being a really interesting concept. But, I do like the fact that there was no blood, no hyperrealism crap or anything like that. Not like most creepypastas tend to do, which I do appreciate that. So that's a definitely good positive. The stethoscope is obtained in Saffron City, not in Celadon City. That's another thing I can definitely say. The third being that Mew was secretly a ghost type. There's no way a curse could have just depleted its HP. It only takes, half of it, or for the ghost type. Now, of course, with that being said, there was just a few spelling mistakes, just a few of them, but very few of them, to be honest. But other than that, it was a pretty well made and really well made creepypasta. This is definitely a best one ever that I've narrated. I narrated a few of them on my channel, but, back in the past, but it's actually a pretty amazing movie and, concept with this creepypasta. Despite only with a few issues with this movie, this pasta actually worked out pretty well. And that is definitely a good positive this is definitely a good review that I have done for it so far. And I have to say, with the fact that the story could have been, maybe a little bit different without having too many cliches, like the Lavender Town theme cliche, I definitely have to say that I know that it's kind of cliched in a way because, other creepypastas use this. But I definitely have to say the story was absolutely amazing, well done, well made. Although there were very few spelling mistakes, but they could be fixed up and it wouldn't be a problem. But other than that, the story was awesome. Really do enjoy this story, and I really do appreciate the good grammar and all that. So that's definitely a positive that I have to say regarding this story. So, anyways, like I'm gonna say right now, this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of the story would have to be a. I'm gonna give this one a. I'm gonna. I'm gonna put it as 9 out of 10. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10, despite the fact that there was a few cliches in the story. One of them being the Lavender Town one, and there were a few negatives I did have to say. But other than that, the story actually worked out really well. It actually was amazing. There's definitely a lot of time and effort into it, and I do have to say that this story actually worked out well. Even though it's an old pasta, don't get me wrong, it's an old pasta, but I could definitely say this story actually worked out really well and really nicely done, and definitely had a good feeling to it. So, anyways, with that being said, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done person to help make this story a lot better? Leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you're brand new here to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so then you guys will not miss an upload. So as always, please roll the outro because I'm out here and I'll be catching you all in the next video. Peace out and I'll see you all next time.